Today we're going to be crocheting this cute little Hammy the Jellyfish burger pattern. You guys will be able to get the pattern for free on my Patreon. It is currently testing if you are seeing it today, which is April 5th of 2025. A few notes for my little Hammy the Jellyfish pattern are that it's written in US terminology. So if you don't use US terminology, I do apologize. You are going to have to go to Google and figure out how to translate it. But this pattern will be written for free on my Patreon, Instagram, TikTok, literally everywhere you can find me. If you just barely see this video, it will be in testing if you don't see it for free yet. Only on Patreon. This pattern is also, I want to say, an intermediate due to the stitches that we are using because it's kind of unconventionally made for a plushie. This pattern is a no-sew pattern, unless if you're doing embroidery or if you want to count the closing it up as in sewing part. Otherwise, no sewing. You are going to be having to use stitch markers for this pattern. And pretty much between rows 4 and 8, I believe, you are going to be slip stitching and fastening off, and the slip stitch does not count in your overall counting. If you guys have any questions or comments, either leave them below or directly message me. I get back the fastest on Instagram and Patreon. For this pattern, I suggest using Loops and Thread Sweet Snuggles Lite in the colored mustard from Michaels. It's absolutely amazing. That is the only one in this Worse and Wheat that I suggest using. The rest colors I suggest using in the Premier Yarns Parfait Chunky. I am using the red in the Loops and Thread Sweet Snuggles Light just because I ran out, but to me it looks way better if the buns are in this kind of a Worse and Wheat yarn instead, just to be a little bit chunkier. But you guys can mix and match. I have the Loops and Thread Sweet Snuggles Light in these two. This is mustard, rhubarb. Otherwise, I would go for cardinal. Everything will be linked down below in the description. But cardinal and the Premier Yarns Chunky. And then I do like the Premier Yarns Neon Lime. But this one is, I believe, the Evergreen. From your Premier Yarns, and then Teddy Bear, and this is, I want to say Daffodil, but it also could be yellow. I cannot remember the name, but check everything down in the description below. Everything will be named. Also be using a 5mm hook. You want to be able to make sure you have your stitch markers. This is definitely needed. You will not be moving one of your stitch markers for a few rows. Then just for the video, I am not using safety eyes and I'm not embroidering on it. You definitely can. For baby safe eyes, do not use safety eyes. It is not recommended. No matter if you melt the backs down or not. Definitely either crochet the eyes or embroider the eyes. But for this pattern, we are going to be doing it pretty much just like this. Otherwise you are going to be using about 16 to 18mm eyes, and then get black and white and cotton yarn and a darning needle. First, your stuffing. For round number 1, we are going to be doing 8 single stitches inside of the magic circle or magic ring. How you are going to be starting it off is pinch your 2 fingers together. I am a righty. This does make a difference. If you're a lefty, I suggest downloading the video, saving it to your phone, and then reversing, flipping it inside of your camera and then watching the video. But pinch it, and then you want to wrap it around your 2 fingers to make an X. And then I don't care what you do with this, but this is the easiest way for me to hold it. Just want to make sure you have tension on here. And then you are going to be going underneath both of your yarns, both threads, yarn over the top and pull it through the bottom. As you can see, it's underneath now. And then you're going to do that again. You're going to yarn with that same strand we just did and then pull it through like we're going to chain, but you don't chain. That's it. So now you're going to do 8 single crochet inside of your magic ring. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the way that I do it for the magic ring, you're going to unwind, I guess I should say, the little tail. And then you can either pull it tight. Sometimes it doesn't want to work for me, so you just want to work your way down with each individual strand. Okay, and once you are here, this is what the ending of row 1 would look like, and we have to work this into round 2 so it doesn't open up. So now moving on to round number 2, you're going to do 8 increases, which if you don't know what an increase is, it is just like a single stitch, but you're doing 2 in the same stitch. So you are going to yarn over and pull through for 1, and then do it in the same stitch for 2. And then you're going to repeat that 8 times in total. 3, 4. I'm playing yarn chicken, you guys. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Row number 3, we are going to be doing a single crochet and an increase 8 times around until we get to 24 stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Row number 4, we are just going to be doing 24 single stitches all the way around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, so now row number 5, we are working in the front loops only, 24 single stitches, but make sure it's in the front loops only. So here is 1. And now that we made the first stitch, before you continue on, mark the back loop of that stitch. We are actually going to be working into this stitch for 2 different rows, so you will not be moving this for a little while. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and the last stitch, 24. So now go into the original first single crochet and slip stitch, and then we're going to fasten off. And when we are working, and I pull it, because I mean if you pull it, it kind of sits a little bit more flush. But now the next row, we need to be working this tail end so we don't see it. Just a little bit. You don't need to work the whole thing in, just a little bit. So it's pretty nice and secure. But now for row number 6, this is going to be our beginning stitch marker. We are working in the back loops only on the top of row 4. So row 5 is working in the front loops only of row 4. And then number 6 will be working in the back loops only from row 4, if that makes sense. So we are going to be grabbing our green for our lettuce. So now you are going to slip stitch your color in. And then chain 2. So here is 1, 2. And remember, do not move this stitch marker. We will be working into this exact back loop all the way around again. Now you are going to be working 2 half double crochets into the same stitch that we just did this in. If you don't know what a half double crochet is, you yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, and then you go through all 3 little bumps. And that is almost 1. There we go, 1. And do that again for 2. I almost forgot, we do need to be working that in. So I just like to have these 2 little tails together, and then just crochet around them. We're going to slip stitch into that next little back loop, slip stitch, get a little tangly, and so now into the next stitch over, you're going to do 3 half double crochets. So yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, all 3. So that was 1, 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, and 3. And now you are going to repeat that process 11 more times, and you should end with about 46 stitches. I'm not counting that many. I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing with my slip stitch, and then I'm going to count to 3 half double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch, and then you're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Then slip stitch, 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch, 1, 2, 3. Then slip stitch, and then 1, whoopsies, 2, 3, slip stitch, 1, 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 2, 3, last one, slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and then you will slip stitch into this last one. So it's completing the pattern all the way around, because we originally started with the 3 and then we did the slip stitch 3, slip stitch 3, so we got to end with the slip stitch just to make it all symmetrical. And then you are going to slip stitch into the top of the half double crochet. We probably should have did a stitch marker in there. My brain completely forgot about it. I apologize, but it's the top. Trying to get some all angles so you guys can see it. Pull through and slip stitch, and then again fasten off. Trust the process, you guys. If you are using the yarn that I'm using, it will turn out exactly, or it should turn out exactly how mine is. It does not look very promising right now, but it will fill out a lot better once you stuff it. If you're doing a different type of yarn, you might want to add another row. I mean, even if you want this more rounded, add another row of 24 single crochet before you do the back loop, or the front loop only, to make the little bun lip. Completely your choice, but this is just how I did it and how I prefer to do it. Now we're gonna get our yellow, our cheese color. I just like to see where we're finishing off. You are actually not ever going to be crocheting here. I just like to do this because I want to know exactly where this little tail is, so I know where to hide it. Okay, now this is where we're getting. We are working into the back post only of that back loop stitch. So you will be going through both the front and the back loop. It's pretty much just going around that little green part. And I just trust the process. You should not see the color through the top how you are right now after you pull it taut and everything, but do not lose the stitch marker just to make sure you know where you're going. So just like we did before, you're going to slip stitch in, maybe, there we go, slip stitch, and then chain 2. You are going to do 2 half double crochets. So make sure you work in the back post only. See how I'm going around that tan color? So there's 1, oh, let's get there again. Okay, so there's 1, and then next one over, make sure you're going through it and not through the side how I did, and yarn over 2. You're going to be working through the same back post, pretty much a half double crochet increase, but we are going to have a chain in between. So first let's put those 2 little tails down so they go inside of our burger, not outside of it. But then you're going to go into that back post only, do your half double crochet, now do a chain, and then a half double crochet into that same post. So you're going to be overlapping your yellow. There we go. We're going to be doing 5 half double crochets down and then repeating that process again. So let's just yarn over, go through the back post, yarn over, oopsies, maybe. It's like every stitch now, you guys, I apologize. Pull through. So there's one, well technically we just did, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we gotta make another little corner, and it's very subtle little corner, like you can tell here. It's not something too drastic, but yarn over, insert into that next post, like so, yarn over, pull through for our half double crochet. That was 11. Now chain 1, yarn over into that same post. So let's flip it over to see if this would be a better angle. Same post, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and there's 12. And now another 5 half double crochet. Here's 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And now we're going to do that increase half double crochet with the chain 1 in it. I have no idea how to call it. Other than that, I apologize. But go through your post, yarn over and pull through. So there's your first half double crochet. I believe that's 18. Chain 1, yarn over or under. I don't know which one you guys do. Just do whichever one you do. Insert, yarn over, under, pull through. That part's the tricky part. You want to make sure you're not over twisting into the first half double crochet. You're just about to come through here. You want to make sure that your hook isn't going to go this way. You want to make sure your hook is going on the away from you. I want to say outer part of this little chunky spot, because this little chunky spot is a half double crochet. I lost my counting. We ended on 17, 18, 19. And then I believe we're going to do 5 more half double crochet. So there's 20, 21, 22, 23, last one, 24, and then you're going to do that half double crochet increase thing, yarn over, pull through, there's 25, chain 1, make sure that it's going on the outer part of that chunky one, and there's 26, and then you want to do 2 half double crochets and we're done with the cheese. There's 27, and the last one, 28. I don't know if I said it earlier, and I should have. I apologize. After every single round, if you haven't caught on yet, we are doing a slip stitch. So insert through here, pull it through. Oh, before we do that, this is why we mark that. Make sure you tuck the tail in. We should have done that in the beginning, but that's okay. We can do it in the tomato round when we do the cheese, or yeah, do the cheese. But you're gonna slip stitch, and then fasten off every color. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a seamless look. This is what it should look like, and you should see, you cannot see the yellow through that back post stitch. So if you see the yellow, you went a little bit too far into the wrong stitch. So you want to make sure that you were working how we were supposed to be. This is where, I don't want to say where it gets tricky, because to me, that was already the tricky part, but this part is even trickier. So normally, traditionally, we would just go through the 2 stitches like we normally would when you're working into it. We are not doing that for this round and the next, not the next round, but the round afterwards, but we'll get there when we get there. You are working into the 3rd stitch. The accidental stitch is what I've always called it, but apparently it's a real thing. I just made a hat with it. It looked super cute and made it bump out and pop. So instead of working here traditionally through this, do you see that little bump of a stitch right behind it? I don't know. Let's see if we can get the... There we go. I just got to turn it. See that? Here I'm through the traditional stitches, but if I turn it, you see that little bump? That little bump is the one you are going to be working into. So I like to go over one. I already, since it's already done, I already worked through the loops, so it's a little bit harder to show you guys. To be able to see them, you gotta turn it sideways a little bit, and then it will be able to bump up for you. I will place some pictures here, so it's a little easier. But once you find your little 3rd oopsie stitch, is what I like to call it, you are going to slip stitch on, and then single crochet. Make sure you mark that single crochet. And now you're going to be doing 2 single stitches. So that was 1. Here's 2. And you don't want to count the chain as 1. So the chain will be here. It's a little bit harder to see, but this is acting like the chain right here. I'm going to go into that little 3rd bump. And there is 3. So now decrease. So there's the 3rd little bump. And here is 4. So now you are going to be doing 5 single stitches into that little 3rd back loop, and then a decrease 3 times. So that was 4. Make sure you are not going into the chain as part of it. You want to make sure you're only going into the stitches, okay? So here's 5, 6, 7, 8. Right here, you can see right here I went into the chain. You want to pull it back, and you can see that little bump right there is the 3rd oopsie stitch. 9, now a decrease. 4, 10. Now 5 single stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease, and we're kind of near that increase, so we want to make sure we're not going into the chain, which is right here. Gonna go around it, and there's 16. So when you turn it to the side, you still see the traditional stitches we originally would go through. It's kind of like going through the front post only, but we're not working all the way down here. It's just working into that little extra stitch. So here's the traditional single crochet, and then tilting it back, and there's that little extra bump. So another 5 single crochet. So there's 17, 18, 19, 20. Careful of the increase. 21. And decrease for 22. And now that we are here, you're just going to do 2 regular single crochet, and it does kind of look like we're far away, but this is the half double crochet. It's kind of far away, and we will be fixing that later if it doesn't fix itself. So make sure here, we gotta go all the way over here to get away from that chain. So there's 1. Please work over these. Makes it look so much better. And two. Now slip stitch, and that is your tomato. For this part, I like to leave the red out instead of working it how we have been working it, just so we can clean that little part up. The tails are atrocious, I know. Either right now, you can fix it up, you can fix it up afterwards. Totally up to you. I'm gonna do both. A little now, a little later, just to make sure like all of my bases are covered. Going into the forbidden regular stitch for that part. There we go. There we go. So now, this is what your burger should be looking like. Your little hammy. And the little cheese, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. It pops out. The tomato curls just a tiny bit, not too much, but it doesn't stick out as much as the lettuce, but it pops out just a tiny bit over the tomato. But now let's get on to the bun. The bun is much easier than the tomato is. You are just working in the regular back loop only. Sorry, you guys can see the cheese color back there. But I just like to go where the slip stitch is, but one forward, just so it's easier on my eyes. I'm blind, it feels like, pretty much. But back loop only, like we've been doing, slip stitch on, chain 1. Counting as 1 stitch, and now we are going to be working 24 single stitches into the back loop only. So there's 2. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's a little confusing. And 24. So again, slip stitch. You should have marked it. And fasten off. Ooh, this one's not wanting to go. I'll just do a little chain to make it go. You don't have to do the chain. I just was kind of forced into that because it was starting to fray. I just know you loved it so much. We are going to be doing it again. We're working into the back, that oopsie third stitch. Traditional loops we go through. You're going to turn it so slightly. See that little bump right there? That is what we are working into. Oops, not through the red. Right. Of course I gotta show you. There we go. Because then that will lay down and it's our traditional step or stitches again. So again, right next to our slip stitch, you're gonna go into that bump. You're going to slip stitch on, chain 1. This time I will remember. There we go, my hair. And now you're going to be doing 23 single crochet all the way around, working in that third loop. This time it's easier because there's no chains to confuse us. But it's still a little difficult, so make sure you go slow. So there's 2. Three. And that little bump will always be brown. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. Ooh. There we go. Oh, man. 14, I believe. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. Oh, are we gonna get it? Maybe. There we go. And no. 24. And then slip stitch, but do not fasten off. So now we are going to be working into the back post only. We are going to be doing a single stitch and a decrease with our chains, about 8 times. I do not count how many stitches there are in the tentacles. I just count how many stitches there are going to be across, which will be 16. I believe each tentacle will have anywhere between 33 to 44 stitches alone, but I don't count those because that's just a lot for me. First, we're going to work into the back post only. So lift up the brown. There's 1. And then now a decrease. You're going to go through 1 back post, pull through, and then the next back post, and pull through. And just so it makes me feel better, I'm going to put those back in. So now that was 2. So now you're going to chain 23. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. And now you're going to work a single crochet and then an increase down 11 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's increase or single crochet, increase. And then the beauty with this is if you want the tentacles to be much curlier, you do an increase literally all the way down, so 22 increases. If you don't want them to be as curly, you want them to dangle even more, do 2 single stitches and then an increase. Kind of like mix and match, mix around with it, see what you guys like. But this is just personally what I do. I think it looks super cute, in my opinion. Like I said earlier, I don't count these. I just go down. You guys can count them. Just, I personally don't for my pattern. And then an increase. Single crochet. I probably missed a stitch somewhere. That's fine. Okay, so now I personally like to slip stitch down where we did the decrease. It creates less holes for me that way. Personally, that's just what I like to do. You don't have to do it. But now we're going to work into the next back post. Just don't pull up the red, just the brown. So there's 1. And then a back post decrease. So go through the back post, yarn over and pull through. Go through the next back post, yarn over and pull through. So now chain another 23 times. And you guys are going to repeat the process 8 times. I'm just going to skip ahead. So if you guys need to watch that again, just rewind it a little bit. It also will say down here in the time as well, you can click on where to go. So now if you are doing eyeballs, now is definitely the time to go ahead and insert your eyes. I like to insert them I like to insert them between the cheese and the tomato. And then I do like to wait to stuff it literally anything until the last second. If you guys would like to stuff now, definitely stuff a little bit, but to me it's easier to wait. So now here you are going to be doing 8. We don't need this stitch marker anymore. We are going to be doing 8 decreases. So there's 1, on the opposite side of the tentacle. It's pretty much one decrease in between each tentacle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one for 8. And then I like to leave a long tail for sewing. And since this is my scrap yarn, I'm not going to be using a darning needle to sew. If you need to use one, definitely do it. I'm just going to be using my hook for today. Normally I would use the darning needle. But here's the little fluff from the nugget. So we're refluffing it and gonna repurpose it. Okay. So stuff as much as you can without having the stitches pop out. You don't want to overstuff. But now you can see like it's starting to form the nice little roundness up at the top. And now I think it's called a whip stitch to get it to close. I just either go through both stitches or just the front loop only of 4 stitches and then pull it tight, and then I go through the rest of the 4 stitches and pull it tight again. Five, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Alright. And there you have it. There's our little burger jellyfish. He is super cute. I like to call him Hammy the Jellyfish. On this one you can tell like the stitches here are popping out a little bit more because I did not go through the 3rd stitch, so I wanted to show you the difference of if you went through the 3rd stitch and if you didn't. I just think this looks more clean, but you also can not even add the tentacles on there and just have a cute little burger. But if you like this video, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below and tell me how it went. You can also either tag me or send photos on Instagram, Patreon, whatever. I do have a free option on Patreon, and then I have a huge group message that I would also be able to see on. So if you make this pattern, let me know.